Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. We're here, guys. How you guys doing?
Feeling good?
Yeah, feeling great.
Everybody, you good, bro?
What are you, dusting off trash? What is that?
Just making sure you guys know.
Oh
I want to say something.
God.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're
brother.
rubbing something over there, but
This
I can't.
guy
I'm not gonna say.
stinks.
I'm not gonna say what you're rubbing.
Smell your finger now.
Oh my god.
Smell it.
Smells like greatness.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
Not much
Okay.
greatness.
Anyways,
Let's
que lo
talk.
que-
Yeah, let's talk about some better teams. Liverpool and Arsenal, 3-2. How we feeling about that?
It was a good game for a neutral. Absolutely, attacking, lots of goals, 5 goals. I thought it was going to be a high scoring game. The way that y'all are in form attacking, and the way our defense is just awful at the moment. You know, it was a good game to watch. It was good for the ratings. I don't know. I don't know if the result was necessarily fair. We definitely didn't deserve to win the game, but I think we might have played well enough at certain periods of time to get a point out of the game. I don't want to cry too much about the referee, but I do think some of the decisions were a little suspect. I'm not even going to talk about the first goal where Saka was slightly offside and they didn't draw the lines on the VAR for whatever reason. That being said, I think it is his trailing leg, and I don't agree with that rule, but that is the rule. If your trailing leg is offside, like even if it's not really affecting the play, like you are offside, they've given that before. Moving on from that, I think the handball was crazy. It was close range, but they've given it before. Jefferson Lerma in Bournemouth last week had a similar situation and received a handball for being – he was even farther away, and they kicked it right into his hand, and they called a handball. I always say that when there's an early decision that goes against your team, you've got the rest of the game to overplay that decision. I've said that to him about the Musa Sissoko handball in the Champions League final. That was like in the first minute of the game. You always have the rest of the game to overcome it, and I thought we did. And then I think the penalty at the end of the game is a little light as well. It is contact, but they're both going for the ball, and he does go down like – it takes him a second to react to the contact to go down. I don't think he necessarily went down because of the contact. But that being said, our defense was atrocious, and you exploited that on the first goal, Trent, Van Dijk, and even on there's a pass into I can't think of who had the assist on the goal, but there was a pass into him that Henderson just steps over that he could have done better on. So you did exploit weaknesses there, Trent. All the injuries as well. But yeah, I think we definitely lost that game. Y'all created good chances. Your defense played well, so credit to y'all for getting the 3 points. But I think we lost that game, and the ref might have had a hand in that.
All right. That was a lot, but
It was a lot.
look, it's the referees in the Prem, dude. I can't even count the many times that like it's gone against our way, like penalties, red cards, handballs that shouldn't have been handballs. It's the VAR and everything. It's horrible. It kills the game, in my opinion. As far as the handball goes, I did see a slow motion clip that it did touch his chest first, and then it hit his hand. So that obviously the first time I saw it, I was like, yeah, I would definitely give that a penalty. No way. But then I did see the slow motion. What they did see in VAR, it hit his chest, and then it went to his hand. So you can't really control that. It's like half a second. It could have gone both ways, like I said. But the game, I think we took our chances, and it was a game of opportunities. Whoever had the opportunities and took their chances was going to win at the end. I think we did play a little better. We did have bigger chances, and we capitalized on that. But at the end of the day, it was going to be a competitive game regardless. I'm just glad that we got the win. Now they can't say that Arsenal can't beat big opponents, even though Liverpool's struggling, because everybody's like, "Who Arsenal haven't beat anyone?" But Spurs and Liverpool back to back, it's tough, and we're up here for a reason. We look sharp, we look great, but like you said, it was a good game. It could have gone either way, and I was thinking it was gonna be a tie. But I'm happy with the result. I think we deserved it, to be honest. And yeah, the referee could have been a little better, but it happens, from game to game. But at the end of the day, we got the dub.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm totally with you on that point. Arsenal lately have been known for not technically, beating opponents that are, top 4 opponents. We've been, laughed at a bunch these last couple of years, so it's refreshing to see a change of pace and to see a team that goes out there and competes. And I was really happy with the game. I was really happy with obviously the result. Both teams, it was a boxing match, man. Like, we punched first, then they punched back. Then, it was just back and forth, and it was very exciting to watch two, teams, and even a struggling Liverpool team, how good and talented they can be when they actually turn up. And so, yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, with the cause, and I've seen a lot of Liverpool fans on Twitter complain about the cause, and I get them, but I've seen a lot of the Arsenal Liverpool games in the past. There's been some really dodgy calls,
have catered Liverpool.
Really, yeah, a lot of calls, and it's we complain, but they're like, oh, you guys are always complaining about refs. You guys are always, and then I was one of those fans. I always be like, oh, we never get calls our ways. It just seemed like the refs were always against us, and maybe that was because we were playing awful and we were playing bad, but it just seemed that way, And then now that we're getting maybe some calls in our favor, everybody's like, oh, why is Arsenal getting everything in their favor? Or maybe it could be just the league, I'm just gonna throw it out there. Maybe the league wants to make the league interesting.
Absolutely.
And it's just maybe they're
agree.
there's only two teams competing right now, technically, and let's just throw it out there, in favor, because it's happened. You look at Man U, they always want to make Man U favorite, and so many calls. Man U gets always so many calls, and it's stupid. And regardless, whatever the situation is, we've been there in the past few seasons that calls don't go our ways. That are why. I think David Luiz had one red card penalty against Wolverhampton a couple seasons ago. That was he didn't even touch him.
I remember that.
And it's
vividly,
calls like that make you think why, But it is what it is now. I don't want to get too much into refs because at the end of the day, I think whoever played better at the end of the day deserves the win. So. But enough of that, I thought. I mean, it was a really good game, like you said, as a neutral fan. If you probably everyone enjoyed it. I'm sure you enjoyed it. A little attacking football. Maybe you something about that.
We know about winning.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, real quick before we move on, who was in your opinion, who was a player of the match for you? For both teams,
I think it was a tale of two halves, and I think in the first half it was Martinelli. That dude was running the show, got in behind, took his chance, had the assist. Trent
sick.
He cooked Trent, had him on skates.
Yeah.
But we knew that, though.
Yeah, for sure. So I think it was Martinelli but we lost that match, but I think it was worse than that because we also lost Matip and Trent for the next 2 weeks as well, which is going to be really tough.
And Lucho Diaz
as well for until the end of the World Cup. I mean, Colombia didn't qualify, but still, he's a huge part of our team. The only player that hustles, the only player that shows heart and desire to try to win games, was a creative force in that first half. First half, it was Martinelli and Diaz over the whole game. It was hard to say. It has to be Saka. He had the 2 goals. Hit a clutch penalty. Y'all, like you said, got a team against a top club, and Saka showed that he has the cojones to step up.
I think he scored against every big club.
Yeah, for sure. But hitting the penalty, there's a lot of question marks about him and taking penalties for whatever reason. Just missing one doesn't.
I mean, it's tough because that was his first professional penalty ever.
Yeah,
as
absolutely.
a professional, and then you're gonna do it in a final, with your national team.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was tough, and I'm glad that he's so young, and then the fact that he could step up and take those penalties again and put them away. That shows a lot from him, and I'm glad. I was iffy. I was like, well, if he misses this penalty, against Liverpool, they're gonna come for my boy, and I'm glad. That's why I think I will give him the man of the match because it takes balls to go up there and take a penalty, especially against Liverpool.
Being that young.
A big team, being that young, and everybody knows that you're probably one of the upcoming players. You're not upcoming because you're already everyone knows you, but you're the future. So it's tough, and he got that off his shoulders.
I feel like this season Arsenal will constantly have to prove themselves. I think just they're young, inexperienced. They say they can't keep pace with Man City, so every game they have to prove themselves. And Saka's one of those players. Has scrutiny from the media in England. Obviously, we don't live there, so we don't know exactly. But we've seen that there's a lot of hate towards him from the national team fan base.
Everybody's you'd let our national.
Yeah,
we couldn't do it for a national team. I was like, well, it wasn't just him that missed a penalty.
And potentially just racism from the media, scrutinizing black players more.
Yeah,
but,
which is
obviously not good. But if he goes up there and does this game after game, he's gonna shut those people up for sure.
Hey, but low key though, he kind of saved everybody because Kane hasn't won anything, so
So I would actually say that it would be Gabriel Jesus. I think his runs and
You
his
think he
other
was man
plays-
of the match?
Well, obviously, I would think it's obviously Saka. I mean, it is Saka.
Okay.
But I just think that what he provided for the team got you the win. Without him, and it was Eddie, I don't
Yeah.
think you guys would have got the win. I mean, yes, the penalty, but
Yeah.
like just all of his runs and everything that he
He
did.
was a handful.
Honestly,
Sure,
I
yeah.
thought that he honestly was, without the stats, the best player just
Oh, yeah,
off
for
the
sure.
ball. Like off the ball, it was like phenomenal. But I just wanted to put my 2 cents in that. I think yes, it should be Saka overall. I think maybe Martinelli had probably the second best game, but I just think without the stats, it probably was Gabriel.
One other shout out that I'm gonna give out to is Tomiyasu, man. He stepped up and he pocketed Salah because Salah didn't do anything the whole
Ghost.
game.
Yeah.
And he's originally a right back, played center back for the
Yep.
national team, and moved out to left back. He's-
Ahead of Tierney.
Yeah,
That's
ahead of
another
Tierney.
thing. A lot of people were like, whoa. Even me, like, I saw the lineup. I was like, whoa, is Tierney hurt again?
But I felt
It
a little.
was like-
I felt more confident
Yeah,
having Tomiyasu
kind-
because he's
yeah.
such a better
He turned
defender
up. He turned
than
up.
Tierney. And I mean, I think he won everything. He literally
Yeah.
won everything. And
He
he's
was
like,
immense. He was very good.
And I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. I mean, Tierney's amazing, but he's given a shout out to starting on that left side if he could do that well against a world class striker like Salah the
Salah,
whole
yeah.
game.
Props to Arteta.
He doesn't go big in big leagues, big games. Mo Salah just
I ju- I
disappears.
just- I
Ryan
don't think that's
Sessiona's
correct.
Ryan Sessiona's pocketed him twice in one
Okay,
year.
I would say
in
in the
that
last
1
6
year
months, that
last
might be
year.
a correct statement, but he scored against Man U this season. Like he scored.
Man U's a big team. Man U's a big team, sitting what 7th right now.
Yeah, but I'm just saying in his career though, last year the way he played against City, those 2 solo run goals, like I think maybe in the last like 8 months or so since the Champions League final and AFCON, like his confidence hasn't been as good, but he's been a big game player over his career. I think just like recently, it's
And I mean, like, as an Arsenal fan, I have more confidence in a Tomiyasu defending a Mo Salah than a Zinchenko. I feel like Zinchenko would have got, cooked. So, he did a
possibly
fantastic job. He
pushed up
came,
too high, trying to get too
Yep,
involved in the
trying to,
offense.
exactly. Kind of like
So-
Trent.
Yeah,
I feel
kinda
like Trent got
exactly.
exposed
So
like
I
that
think,
too.
I think that credits Arteta for making that decision. I think he won the tactical battle, which against Jurgen Klopp is it's tough to do.
Who changed his formation too?
Yeah, he
Jurgen
did.
Klopp
He did change his formation,
Yeah.
and Arteta countered perfectly.
So, let's move on to slower games. 1-0 victory. Tottenham versus Brighton. Let's talk about that.
Against a real top. I'm pretty certain Brighton's 6th right now, and that's a real top of the table league. Because if Brighton would have beaten us, they would have jumped 1 point. I'm pretty certain it would have been like 1 point to Chelsea. They would have been in 5th. I'm pretty certain they're 6th. If I'm
They're 7th.
7th. Okay.
With a
yeah.
win, they would have been.
But-
They would have been in 4th. With
Yeah,
the game.
see, that's
they
what I'm
have
saying.
they have a game in hand.
They have but they have a good team, and they've been
Oh, yeah, they do.
they have provided.
Absolutely.
I mean,
They
against
definitely
Liverpool, like they have been showing up and producing. So I think we did great. We went to their house, where, by the way, they said it all throughout the game. They've only lost twice in the last 14 games at home, both of them against Tottenham. So I'm just like they do their thing at their house. It was a very, very tough game. But if you look at freaking every single end, like our defense just like was showing up. I mean, 1-0 to a team that really is dominant at home, that they have been, and you can look at the stats there. Again, we're dominant against Tottenham. I mean, we've kind of had this same game plan week in and week out, that defensively it comes first, and then offense comes second. Defense, builds championships. I mean, you have to have a good defense to win. You have to have a good defense to win, and they're really proving that. It's kind of a little out of pocket, but if we win on Sunday against Everton, we will have the best record for the first 10 matches at 23 points. Our record's 22 for the Premier League. So for us, 1-0, and against other teams, we've played the same type of style of football where it's very defensively, but just getting the wins and getting the points is huge. I mean, we're decisively
I mean,
third.
we didn't get 3 points from Brighton, so I mean it's a great.
So
victory.
it's just like, I want more offense. I really, I mean, with Harry and Son, we should get more offense. But that's why I trust and believe that it will be fine. And I'm glad that our defense isn't just shambles like it has been in the past 3-4 years, especially without losing Jan and losing Toby. Like,
Yeah, I agree with you. I was just trolling you, but ultimately, no. But you make a great point. Ultimately, it's better to sometimes get these not ugly, just like these 1-0 victories. At the end of the day, it's a W in the column. You're still in the top 4 contention. You're still in the top 4 race.
We're third.
Some people like to play
Decisively.
some, attacking football, and then they get exposed at the back. So what I like that's kind of why I like what we're doing at Arsenal. Not only are we playing, pretty solid defense for the most part. This was probably our worst defensive game in my opinion, as a whole. But just because we do that, offensively we're playing great offense. Like, our offense is fluid. Our offense, you don't know who's going to give you a goal at any given moment. Partey can give you a goal. Gabi can give you a goal. Jesus can give you a goal. Saka can give you a goal. Even Xhaka's, having an input in the goal column. So that's why I like, what we're doing over here on our end. But so sometimes I know, like, a lot of Tottenham fans that I know are like, man, it's so hard to watch this because we're so defensive and we have a Harry Kane. We have a Son. But, at the end of the day, W is a W. So whether it's ugly or not, it counts the same.
Yeah, Hugo played good. I mean, it was a big game, and it's some soccer fans or football fans may not know, but we also lost a coach that week, and it was super. The players and coaches, man, I didn't realize of how significant it was until I started to read in a little bit more of the press conferences and watching them and just hearing what they had to say before the game. I was like, oh wow, like this is actually a big deal. He's been working with Conte for 30 years, even when Conte was a player. Like Conte knows his whole family. Like, it was a very big thing for him, and for them to come out and not ask for a postponement and play through the game, and you could just see their heart was just out. I mean, before and after. I mean, after, like, they were just crying. Before the match blew, like, Conte was already crying. Before, like, they were getting the kneel and they were kind of getting their momentum, and, like, it was crazy. Anyway, so I'm just glad that they were ready to pull it out, and yeah, I thought, honestly, we were probably going to go lose. I thought we were going to go back-to-back losses. Brighton's been very good. We showed up, and now we move on to Everton, which, honestly, stat-wise, like, they've only given up 9 goals this year. I mean, yeah, they've not been the best, but I think they've scored, like, 8 goals and gave up only 9. So it's like they've had very tight games as well, which might favor us, because we've had good tight games, but I think we're a lot more organized, and hopefully we can pull it off and continue that number 3rd spot. 'Cause I don't know. I mean, for us, our goals are different. I think all of our teams have a little different goals, but at the end of the day, as long as we get top 4, I think that's bare minimum for our league. Yeah, of course we want to push for a title and title contention, but like as long as we're a top 4, stay in the Champions League, and we fight in the other competitions for a trophy, like, at the end of the day, I think that's what we're shooting for, and I think we're on pace for that. So I'm looking up for this year. I mean, it's looking great. So
yeah, this is a good time to. We had a comment on the YouTube. We had a person say that they wanted us to talk a little bit about Leicester. So I think I think we should. I think we should start talking a little bit more about other teams, and we will, guys. We're just starting off. But yeah, Spencer, you want to start us off with the Leicester conversation?
Yeah, so Brendan Rodgers, was Liverpool's manager for a long time, was heavily linked to Arsenal as well. He's in a bad way right now at Leicester. I think he's been failed a little by their board, definitely. A lot. They have not reinvested, the Maguire money properly. They've bought players here and there. Daka is working out to, some degree. But they're not. They buy a lot of injury-prone players, or just people like Ricardo Pereira has been injured his entire Leicester career. It's tough when you've got players that have ambitions for higher clubs. Tielemans, Madison. Madison turned up for them in a 2-1 victory recently. But that's like their only win of the season, and it's hard to motivate those types of players. Maybe they need someone else fresh to come in and try to spur this team on that has this team that has talent to a degree. Obviously, Madison is an excellent player, and I think should be on the plane for England. He's got the 2nd most goal involvements for any English player other than Harry Kane in the last 12 months. So the talent is there, but it's unfortunate when they do business on like the last transfer day, get rid of one of their starting center backs, and they don't really bring in anybody. So to be bottom of the table though, with the players that they have is even with all that said about the transfer window, like, I don't know, I still feel like they're better than, Bournemouth, who they beat, and or Forest. I don't know who. Well, it was one of those red teams.
Yeah, they beat Forest.
They beat Forest.
4-0.
4-0. And they lost to Bournemouth in the last match. Yeah, after being up 1-0.
Yeah.
So it's. I think that they hit their high obviously when they won the Premier League. It's just hard for those clubs that are in that echelon below that want to stay up there. It's really tough to stay up there. So
yeah, financially, go ahead, boss.
So it's tough because I would have never pictured Leicester City to be bottom of the table at all. Even with the whole transfer thing, they didn't bring anyone in. I think they brought 2 players in. And they let Fofana go on the last days or whatever.
Yeah.
I still didn't see him like you said, the talent that they have and the coach that they have. I didn't expect them to be down here. But looking at their schedule, I don't want to make excuses for them. I mean, second game against Arsenal, right? That's one top 6 club. You have another game against Chelsea. Then you have another game against Man U. And then you play Brighton, that's doing really good. And then you play Spurs. Half of your fixtures are against really tough opponents. So I get it. They've been playing really bad. But I think maybe the scheduling, and I guess all those games have to be played regardless. But I don't know what's going on because, I mean, like I said, they still have a great squad, a great coach. I don't know if getting rid of the coach is going to fix anything because, like we said, he's proven to be a really good coach. They have the players. Maybe signing someone in January, bringing in a few key players. Because if not, if they don't fix anything, if they don't bring anyone in, if they don't do anything, they're gonna get relegated. And no one wants to see that because they have great players. James Madison's gonna have to go. Who else? Who else do they have? Tielemans.
Tielemans he's
Zaka,
not re-signing. That's the thing.
So it's I don't know, man. I don't know. It's tough. I don't want Rodgers to be sacked, but I think that might be the solution because everyone looks at it. Everyone looks at the manager at the end of the day. If you're not getting the results, everyone's like, okay, the manager's not doing something. The manager's because at the end of the day, they only really lost the only key player they lost was Fofana in the back, and I guess it's an important center back, of course.
Who's the one that lost their goalkeeper? Was it?
It was Schmeichel.
Schmeichel as well.
Schmeichel went.
He was big. Big loss for
and
them,
a captain, a voice.
So you were mentioning how Brandon Rodgers was. Do you think he should stay or do you think it's time for him to go?
I mean, they're going to fire him. I think it's a matter of time they'll probably fire him. But I think as a board decision, I mean, they've already made some iffy calls as it is. So I can really see him staying until the World Cup. And then since they're going to have a month or so off, that's when they would fire him. And then they would have to bring in a manager that has some idea what they need to do for those. I mean, it's the last December, and then the January transfer window opens. So they're going to only have to play I think it's 3 or 4 games, but in December, and then they go right into a transfer window where the board has to respond. And if they don't, they will go down.
But don't you think it's time to respond now in a way? Because I mean, by that time, what if the results aren't coming and by that time, it'll probably be way too late to come back and stay in the top.
I mean, at this point, they got 7 points? Not even 7 points, 4 points in 9 games. So it's at the end of the day, I saw this coming. Very first time sitting down meeting, you said who was going to be the most underperforming club in Premier League, and the first thing I said was Leicester. It's Leicester. Easy, and it hasn't let me down. They are literally the worst performing team. Maybe not the worst team, but the worst performing team right now. And it's gonna take a lot to get them back. You're right. They need to start winning, and they should react now. But it's not like they don't have the players to do it. And I mean, they fumbled the bag this past weekend against Bournemouth when they were up 1-0, and then they allowed 2 goals. So it's it's tough because I think professionally, yes, they should, but I think they would be. I think they would just. If they let Brendan Rodgers go, I think they would suffer from it. I don't think they could recover from it. But, whatever. Who knows? It's football, right?
Yeah, maybe there's a new manager bounce can come in and change up the vibe. But I think Brendan Rodgers is unfortunate because maybe with the proper backing, they could compete in like
Exactly.
if they had deeper squads, they could compete in like Europa League or Conference League. I think they've been really disappointing in Europe in like the last, anytime they've qualified recently, whatever the competition may be. I know last year they went out early as well. I think it's unfortunate because Rodgers was probably at a really good level for him when he manages a top club. I think when he was at Celtic, they won a lot. They won an invincible season, and he did really well. He could have stayed there and won championship after championship after championship if he wanted to. And he comes back to England where he can coach, a nice-sized club and not necessarily have all the pressure of coaching an Arsenal or a Man U or a Liverpool. But now, even though the standards are lower, the performances that the team are putting out, I'm not a tactician. I can't say what they need to do or what they need to do with the players they currently have, but obviously it's not working with him, and a change is probably imminent.
I definitely agree with you, and at the end of the day, it's unfortunate because I feel like somehow he's kind of going to be the scapegoat in all of this. At the end of the day, I can't fathom him not wanting a player. Like, to me, I don't think it was him not wanting to bring in somebody. I just think that board, something, or maybe the financial, maybe they don't have the financials right now to make anything happen. But, you had a Yuri Tillemans who was 1 foot out the door. A guy like a Madison, he's talented. I'm pretty sure there's clubs around here in England, or not here in England, but in our league or in other places, in Europe that would take a Madison right now. You talked about how, Tottenham would love a Madison if they weren't so defensive. So they could have made something happen, and then ultimately, obviously letting Fofana go, the last day or one of the last days of the transfer window, that doesn't give you enough time to bring another center back in. And so I do feel like Luis was right. Obviously we play these teams, but, to have a Man United, to have a Arsenal, and to have like a Chelsea, like, so soon in the season, I feel like their season's going to, they're going to start seeing some more favorable fixtures. And I feel like obviously they'll get out of that. In my opinion, I think they'll get out of the relegation zone. And it's still early, Obviously, with a club like that, they can either overreact or they can stay patient and stay with the guy that they've been trusting. And I feel like in their situation, I feel like, there's nothing you can do as far as getting new players in right now. So, I would trust in Brandon Rodgers and see what they could do. Maybe give them till December, or right before the World Cup.
The last thing I'll say is don't forget now they did lose their owner in that horrific helicopter accident a couple years ago.
But
so,
that was a few years ago at this point now.
You, but look at the decline since then, though.
Yeah.
They have been terrible since then. So.
Yeah, I believe so.
But I'm just saying, like,
yeah,
we're looking at the board issues, and what could be the board? Well,
it's
they had to change ownership.
Like you mentioned how like they sold Fofana like that last day of the transfer market, like basically, and that doesn't give you enough time, like you mentioned. It's tough. I don't know if it was the board, they didn't want to sell, but they always say that they don't want to sell, but it's just money. It comes down to money.
Yeah, they want more money.
They want more money. But if you knew you were gonna sell, have a backup plan. Like,
they brought in a center back, a guy that's unproven from Ligue 1.
It was hard,
but at the same time, it was more than one center back that they needed.
Yeah.
They're playing Johnny Evans, who, in fairness, is a quality center back, but is aging. And the goalkeeper left as well, and they stuck with the backup, Danny Ward, a former Liverpool player, but probably not Premier League. It's not.
The players that literally came out and said it's not been the same.
Dude, he's so. Yeah. I get it. Being a goalkeeper is probably it's a tough spot to be in, because you could either be really like hot and like make every save, or you could be really cold. But my man hasn't like shown like
nothing.
anything at all. It's horrible. Yeah. Like I've seen some of the games, and it's like, dude, I feel like I could make that save. Obviously, I can't, but that's how bad it looks. You play in the Prem, you should do better than that. And I think they can get someone better than that. Maybe in the academy.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I was surprised.
Like the money that they got from Maguire, now the money they've got from Fofana, like they can't mess this up. They need to
Conte, Mahrez,
all these players, they need to invest this properly, whether it is in the youth system or young players. Their whole scouting department needs like a revamp. They struggled a little bit with Tielemans, but everybody knew about Tielemans. If you played FIFA on FIFA 15, you know who Tielemans was. So And then Madison, all those players, they have got good players, but not enough. Like not in like the spine of their team.
Yeah.
Defensive midfield, center back, and a lot of their signings haven't panned out due to injury. Like I said, Pereira and stuff like that. But they really need a new direction when it comes to maybe like a sporting director or something like that.
I mean, from the time they won the league, right after they lost key players, Mahrez, Conte. They finished 12th. Then year after that, ninth again, and then fifth, and then 8th last season. So there's still been like top 10.
Pretty relevant.
Here and there. So I don't know what's happening now that it's like such a drastic change. It makes no sense in a way, but
Yeah.
it all comes down to wins. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what they end up doing. Let's talk about PayPal.
And PayPal.
So reports, if you're watching this, the reports came out today that there's friction. It's obvious, we can see it. Outsiders looking in, you can see it. We're in the United States and we can see it, like if they were our next door neighbors. What do you guys feel about that situation? Do you guys think that PSG should give in and give him away, or give in to his demands, or do you guys think that is it Neymar? Is it
Dude, I think this will be the first player in history to be like, I don't want to play with Messi and Neymar. Like, it's insane, man. You have everything you asked for. You have all the money. You have a dream team.
Real quick, Neymar was that player once upon a time in Barcelona, don't you think? Or very similar. Maybe he didn't act the same way.
Yeah, but Neymar, Suarez, and Messi were different. They played amazing together. They didn't have all that controversy with each other that, oh, he can't take the penalty or he can't do this. I feel like Mbappe, his ego got to him. I think to any club, if he stays, whatever, he'll run that club down like tiny club that they are. But I think if he goes to any other club, if he goes to Liverpool, if he goes to Madrid, I think he's just gonna ruin it. And then I think, well, maybe if he does come to Madrid, I think he'll be humbled because Madrid is a big club. They have history, and you're not just gonna come out there and they did it to Ronaldo. The fans are disrespectful over there. They don't care. You play one bad game, they start booing you. So I think if he comes to Madrid, he'll be humbled. But if he goes to like Man U or Liverpool, maybe he will be. But I think he would just ruin a club wherever he goes if he keeps up with the attitude. I mean, he's still young, but to have Messi and Neymar, like I said, on a dream squad, you literally have everyone. They buy every good midfielder. They have a good defense. They try to bring the best goalies, and you're still gonna complain and say you don't want to play with them. You don't want to be under the spotlight or whatever it is. It's sad, man, because he has so much potential. I mean, he already won a World Cup, and I know that's a team competition, but I don't know, man.
He was the star guy.
Yeah, he was the star guy, but you see him play now, and I watch some of the games, and it's like they look blown. He looks blown. He doesn't want to be there, or he wants to do this,
and he reacts when he doesn't get the ball like it's Sunday League. Like
never passes.
Never passes.
Yeah,
I don't. Yeah.
Yeah,
And that was the whole argument against Haaland. It's like, oh, Mbappe creates for other players and all this stuff, and it's like, well, there's examples of him not passing the ball in the final third. It does scream a Manchester United signing, just like overpaying for a player that doesn't necessarily want to play there but wants to play in that league, and possibly building it up from a marketing standpoint, because Man United is still a huge club. And then now you've got the two best young strikers in the world at Manchester playing against derbies together. There can be direct comparison. There's no more talk of like, oh, Ligue 1 is a farmers league and he's not performing in a top league, so he's not as good as Haaland, or whatever the case may be. Maybe he's seeing how well Haaland is playing, and it's making him think like, oh, how come the headlines are not about me? Like, I need to do something to bring my face back to the forefront of like the greatest young player in the world, and maybe a move to Real Madrid or Man United where there's history, and PSG obviously is a global brand, but not necessarily respected as much as clubs as like Real Madrid and Manchester United, and Barca, all those things. And he wants to prove himself, even though obviously he's a proven great striker, but he needs to do it on a stage consistently year after year, winning like major competitions, winning Champions League, and PSG will eventually win a Champions League. and I think it is ridiculous. They gave him all this power and all this money, and now he's throwing a fit only 3-4 months later after snubbing Real Madrid. Florentino Perez said he would never deal with Mbappe ever again. I don't believe that at all. I think, if he came knocking, he would open the door for him at Real Madrid again. There's some BS reports that the only team PSG would consider selling Mbappe to is Liverpool. We wouldn't pay him the money that he wants. Yeah, it's a big troll for sure. And it would, like Luis said, it would disrupt squad chemistry no matter where he went, especially, at Liverpool. And I guess it's all about the role he's playing. He either wants to play.
He wants like a free role.
He wants a free role, or he doesn't want to be pigeonholed to be just a left wing or just a striker or something like that. But I mean, even if you are the best player in the world, you're a player. You're one of 11, and you should be trying to do the job to win games and to win trophies.
I mean, realistically, who's got a better team right now than PSG? I mean, maybe City. Maybe City.
City.
You know,
I mean,
and that's it. I mean, you can even look at like a Barca and Real Madrid who have in the past definitely had better rosters, and Barca this year just because they went out and spent it's a different conversation, but they have a decent roster too. But PSG, I would take all the time. Like, dude, every single person, in every single position is almost a world class player. So
there's ever like a midfielder that like another team wants. PSG's like, you know what? We'll have him as our fifth backup just in case. Like, it's always like that. They have Soler, Renato Sanchez, Pereira. They have that other Portuguese kid. They're stacked everywhere.
And yeah, he's in the perfect situation with, you would think, ideally you would think, you have two guys that you can look up to in Neymar and Messi. You would think you would ask him for advice, and you would think you would elevate your play with them, but it's almost like you can tell he's like envious. He's jealous, almost at the attention. I saw a report that said, Messi has so much, influence in that locker room, and so a guy like Mbappe probably feels like it's a competition. But at the end of the day, Messi's Messi, man. Like at the end of the day, you're going to have to be Messi's, mentee per se. You're gonna have to cater to Messi more than you're gonna have to cater to Mbappe. And right now he's just throwing his toys out
the pram, basically. Yeah.
So it just sucks. Like
Messi universally loved by his teammates at
everyone.
Argentina, Barcelona, everywhere, and I think Mbappe could learn a thing or two because
and how to carry yourself, because he's still 22, 23, a baby. He's young. We're comparing him to the likes of Messi and Ronaldo. Like, we're putting this guy in these conversations, but football is such an international sport. You're just having people turn on you now because it's not attractive. It's not cool. It's not.
You called him in
PayPal.
Like, he's become a meme to some degree. His play is incredible. Hasn't really dropped off too much, but
crying about sponsorships.
Exactly. I mean, that was I kind of agree with him on that. Like, if he doesn't want to promote, unhealthy like fast food habits, that's fair enough for sure. I don't know the exact details of it.
I think it was more about getting the bag.
Oh, really? Okay. Well,
but I mean,
it was under the veil of like, I guess he said that as like a to hide the fact that he wanted more money for it or whatever. But either way, like he definitely needs to grow up a lot.
I regret this.
Absolutely.
Dude, Messi is like a generational player.
Yeah.
And Neymar almost too.
Neymar too?
Like Neymar's like right behind Messi too, and then Mbappe is probably there. But like he's gonna regret if he ends up like getting sour and then get knocked out of like Champions League or something like that because there's a little round of 16 and like then he has to go play the World
Europa
Cup
League
with all this over him.
He's not gonna go to Man U, and if he does go to Man U,
I don't think he'll go
probably
to
gonna
Man
ruin
U.
his career even more.
I think it's gonna be one of those things like Kobe and Shaq situation where like 10 years he's gonna be like, man, I had Messi as a resource and I had Neymar as a resource and I was just in my ways. Exactly. So hopefully
I think he would
comes to his
play well
senses.
there still, regardless. I mean, like Benzema's aging and like
He will if he went to
anywhere he goes. He's still gonna
he would
play
still
well.
perform.
It's just, is he going to reach the heights that we expect of him? That
Correct.
he's shown in his career.
Because it's not the quality that we're complaining about. It's more just the attitude that he's taking and the route he's taking, and it just screams like a spoiled kid at that point. But enough about him. Spence, you said you had some trivia for us, brother?
Yeah,
or-
yeah. This is some stuff, just like looking around at players and stuff like that. Just seeing little coincidences here and there, and I just want to test y'all's ball knowledge or the
Us three right here?
Yeah, everybody.
Okay,
Everybody can answer, but this question is definitely Arsenal and Liverpool centric. It won't be always like that, but for this week, I thought it was. I was just looking up at the game, trying to figure out what was going to happen, and saw some
Winner
interesting
circle.
stuff.
Wait, hold up. Before you go on, weren't you supposed to wear an Arsenal jersey?
Oh, yeah. We still have to make that happen.
For that one.
I mean, Spencer too, because he lost too. So
I
What do you mean?
never made a bet like that, but
I mean, you guys lost
Before I
Arsenal.
forget,
if that's the new thing, we could make that a thing. If
Yes,
your team
no, I thought
loses
about
to
that
one of our
before
teams,
this,
you gotta
but
rep
we
I
that.
wasn't
definitely
gonna
made
say
a bet with
anything.
you. We
I wasn't gonna say anything
we
until you
def-
brought it
We'll
up.
take a
but,
picture of him in the Arsenal kit, and we'll make it the
That's
thumbnail of
cute.
the video.
There you go.
Yeah,
Oh.
There you
Tottenham
go.
fan wears Arsenal jersey, and you can be crying in the thumbnail. It'd be perfect.
But, yeah, this is how we'll wrap up. Let's go.
All right, so
0.
excluding Oxlade-Chamberlain, there's 3 sets of players between Arsenal and Liverpool that have played together at a former club.
Oh wow! They have played on a different team before they joined Arsenal and Liverpool.
So yeah, the groups of players, there's one Arsenal player and one Liverpool player that have played together on a team previously. 3 sets.
Recently?
Yeah, I would say within for one of the sets is within the last 2 years.
That they played together on the same team, and they played in both teams.
Yeah. Oh no. So they okay.
Uh-oh.
The
One,
wording is,
there's
Yeah.
there's one current Arsenal player and one current Liverpool player that played together somewhere else. There's 3 sets of players like
I'm
that.
thinking City. Probably 2 players from City. But I don't know. I could be
Jesus, I'm
completely
having a
wrong.
brain fart. And I know once you tell me, I'm gonna be like, I'm fucking stupid.
Can you tell us a position, or at least one of the positions?
I'll give a couple hints. So one set of these players, we bought them respectively within the last year. So players that we both bought within the last year have played together on a team. We bought them from the same team.
Oh come.
Jesus.
Luis Diaz.
That's one of them.
Because
But who did he play with at Arsenal? That's currently at Arsenal.
You can't look it up. Is this guy looking?
Is he?
You can't look it up.
Who did he play with at Arsenal?
Damn, I should have looked it up.
Yeah, you
Well,
can't say.
is
You're
it-
disqualified.
Is it Thomas Partey?
No.
Because I know he played Atletico, and I was trying to remember the team he played.
Someone we
before.
signed.
So you just said Luis Diaz, so it's someone that Luis Diaz played with.
I know, but that was at
It wasn't-
It's at Porto, no? So.
Porto.
Oh, man.
Dude, I'm having a brain fart.
I know who it is.
I know you already saw it. You already looked it up.
All right. I'm gonna give you guys like 10,
From-
15 seconds, and then I'll let Mike say if he wants.
We signed him this transfer window.
Jesus?
From
No,
Porto.
it's
Oh,
on
from Porto.
Wow, that's terrible. I don't know that.
From Porto.
You should know him even more.
This transfer window
Yes.
from Porto.
Yes. Quality player too.
Jesus.
5, 4, 3.
Dude, I feel so. What the hell?
Fabio Vieira.
Yes,
Oh my
exactly.
God.
Diaz and Fabio
Wow.
Vieira were teaming together at Porto.
Jesus, I totally forgot
No.
about that.
There's
God.
2. Okay, so there's 2 more.
Okay.
There's 2 more, but they're a little harder.
Okay.
I totally
They're
forgot
a
about
lot
that.
harder. I'm not gonna lie. But if you think about nationalities,
Yeah.
and the other one is gonna be probably pretty tough for you guys to know, but I will say his name has already been said in this conversation.
Jesus.
Thomas Partey.
Thomas Partey?
Is
Thomas Partey and who?
so for you guys,
For
an
Atletico?
Yeah, a
Madrid
Liverpool player.
would be
Jota.
Jota.
Oh, wow.
Jota and Partey were
Yeah,
teammates at Atletico Madrid
him.
briefly.
Timothy.
Now, this last one is very tough. It's very tough, and they haven't been teammates for close to 10 years, if not
Okay.
more than 10 years.
They have been teammates from.
The
were?
connection, yes, they were teammates probably about 10 years ago. And to give you a hint, because it is very tough, they play for
Thiago?
this same national team.
It's got to be Thiago. for.
And they're playing right now for Liverpool and Arsenal.
One of them
I
plays
was
for
thinking
Liverpool
Tom-
and one plays for
Thiago,
Arsenal.
Or I
Who's
was,
from Spain? If he's saying Thiago.
well, I was thinking him, or I was thinking Bobby F. 'Cause they're
Like
both
the Bellerin's
Brazilian.
gone,
I was thinking Brazilian. The Brazilian link ups. There's a lot of Brazilians that play.
Okay, Firmino and
Jesus.
Firmino?
And Firmino and Jesus?
No, is Firmino one of them?
Is that no? Neither one of those.
No, okay.
They're not Brazilian.
They're not Brazilian.
Oh,
Yeah. Hold up.
I was thinking
are they
Xhaka.
English?
No,
Where'd Xhaka come from? Before
Are they
Arsenal?
Spaniards?
they're not Spaniards.
From the Bundesliga.
All right, let me
Yeah,
stop
that's why I was
asking.
thinking him and Bobby F. But like, I don't think they both
Yeah,
play
that's a
for.
good one.
It's close though. Yeah. It's
So I will say that Xhaka was
Oh.
nearly teammates with them at the same time, separated by one window. Xhaka left when these two joined, or
And
in
it's
the
a
vice
Bundesliga-
versa,
it's
something like.
definitely a Bundesliga team.
It is not a Bundesliga team.
Wow. Okay.
So I'm not hip to where Xhaka was before they had him.
Are they both starting on respective sides?
This season,
No.
he has started multiple games
Oh,
for
wow.
you. Our player is a bona fide starter. If best 11, he's in there.
Oh, Nani?
El Neni,
Oh, get out of
El Neni, and who?
Dang, I don't know. Bro.
Well, I said
But say El Neni, I'm trying to remember. He
Neni,
played with
Ox-
before this.
no. I said excluding Oxlade Chamberlain because he's played.
No.
But
Yeah.
thinking about it though, there's probably not too many players on your squad that Ox was played
Dude,
with. I
El
would say
Neni-
maybe Rob
dude, Where
Holding.
did El Neni play before?
Holding.
Where did El Neni play before Arsenal?
Well, I already.
Because I know he,
Yeah,
I
I'm
know
not
he
gonna
was in
say.
Turkish league. I know he went to Turkish league for some. But this had
for
10 years
Who
ago.
had
It had to have been like someone
It's
you
a
guys.
small club.
Yeah, I was thinking like
Mo
Olympiacos.
Salah, but can you guys tell me what the club
It
was?
can't. It cannot
Dude,
be
there's no
the
way
Serie A,
There's no
Florentina.
way.
All right,
There's
if you
no
guys
way
can't say
Florentina.
Basel, FC
I was
Basel.
gonna-
So
I was-
you were gonna say
Because
Yeah,
the
sh-
crazy thing was because of Jacques, and I was telling you, I was like
that's what I
Switzerland,
was
Switzerland. I was
thinking.
like, dude, Switzerland. I was like,
Basel.
wow,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
crazy. And then you said El Neni. I
Neni.
had to.
Yeah.
El Neni and
Yeah,
It's because Salah was missing last game, so I forgot about it. That's the
Wow.
reason we got pocketed really
Yep,
hard. So.
Absolutely.
Hey, that's a good one. That was a good one.
That's a good. Yeah, that's a good one. Ask me one more.
And that's it for us. I have more, but we'll save that for another episode.
Guys, thanks again for tuning in. I mean, this was a really good episode, guys. We'll have more content. Please leave a like, subscribe, tell your friends about the channel, and keep commenting on what teams you want to hear about. We had a really good segment today on Leicester, and just keep letting us know what you guys want to hear. Peace.
Deuces.